What's going on? Jake here with Uncommon EDC, and today I'm checking out the CRKT Septimo Multitool, and I specify multitool because there's also a CRKT Septimo knife. And so I picked this up on Amazon for just about 50 bucks, and the reason I picked it up is it's just a little bit different than your standard Leatherman multi-tool or even your Victorinox Swiss tool. Looked a little bit different, didn't have super high expectations of it, but it was different enough that I wanted to check it out and really just enjoy checking out weird multi-tools and stuff like that. So glad I picked it up. Not necessarily something I would highly recommend unless you're like me and just want a weird multi-tool. It's not great, but it's passable, it's okay. It has a one-hand accessible blade on the outside. Obviously, this doesn't open like a standard multi-tool, so there's nothing that's not going to be accessible from the outside. Now, the blade is a 8CR13 MOV Tanto style blade, so not the greatest steel, but okay for a secondary blade. The blade style seems a little bit of an odd choice for a multi-tool. It seems like they went with kind of a more tactical style blade, and this is definitely the market that they're trying to advertise to, but still it seems like a weird choice for a multi-tool. It does have a single serration that you can use as a rope cutter or strap cutter. I do like that that's there. I definitely wouldn't have wanted full serrations, but I don't mind that single serration there. It opens with the thumb stud. It is a liner lock, a really thin liner lock, but it locks up well. Haven't had any issues with that whatsoever. And has this black oxide finish just to kind of match everything else. Now, the blade is a 2.86 inch blade with a 4.84 inch handle, bringing the overall length to 7.63. You can see I can get a full 4-finger grip on there. It's not the most comfortable in the world. There's a couple hot spots right here kind of at the pinky by the pocket clip, as well as this bottle opener. The web of my thumb just kind of sits in there, and so it's not bad for single cuts, but after a little while it just definitely pushes into the web of my thumb. So don't love the placement of that. It weighs in at 4.4 ounces, which isn't too bad for a multi-tool, and definitely doesn't feel too heavy. But there's also not a ton of function, so obviously it's going to be a little bit lighter than, you know, a standard Leatherman or Victorinox that probably has 18 tools, where this one has, I think, 7. So I'll jump to the bottle opener next. Nothing to complain about, not something that I really need on a multi-tool. Most multi-tools seem to have one, but not something I use a ton. Nice to have, I guess, but just a weird placement. Again, it just kind of rests where the web of my thumb is, and don't love the placement of it. Could take it or leave it, but it's there. And so right above that is this attachment for the bit driver, which takes standard 1/4 inch bits. However, they don't actually stay retained in there, so it will fit a 1/4 inch bit, but if you flip it over, they just kind of fall out. And so that's not great. I wish it would hold standard size bits, but it comes with a Phillips and Flat head that stores inside the handle. So you can see it just kind of flips out there, and I access that by pushing the back side of it, and it pops out the other side, and you can just pull that out. It sits in there pretty well. There's no magnet or anything, but it's tight enough that it doesn't just fall out when you flip it over. Now, this bit, because it's made for this, obviously it will stay in there without falling out. And the reason for that is, you probably won't be able to tell, but inside it's kind of sloped, and so it's only magneting the tip, and since there's no tip on the back side of a standard bit, there's nothing for it to grasp onto. And so that's why they don't actually stay in there. I wish that it would take just kind of standard size bits. Well, obviously they fit, but I wish it would retain them as well, so that you can use some more options, or at least if they would sell some of their other styles of bits, just so that you can get kind of exactly what you're looking for. You're limited to just the Phillips and Flat head, although my guess is it probably will take any double-sided bit. So if you can find some other 1/4 inch double-sided bits, it probably will take them. I didn't have any handy to test that out, but I would assume it probably would work, since the only reason it won't hold the standard is because of that magnet. So last up, or second to last I guess, I'll talk about both at the same time, is the adjustable wrench on the backside. And so this is adjustable, obviously. It goes out to about a 1/2 inch at the thinnest point. So yeah, just about 1/2 inch. And then at the widest point, about 3/4 of an inch. And so it is an adjustable wrench, but it has kind of a plier style head, which is another odd choice. I think I would have preferred just a standard wrench style head. Obviously, you get a little bit more leverage with that if you're using it on bolts and stuff like that. And so you get a little bit more leverage with standard wrench style head over plier style head because these are more rounded off, and the wrench would have had a flat edge here. And so it's a little bit also flimsy. I haven't had any issues, but a little bit more flimsy than a kind of standard adjustable wrench. So not sure if that will be an issue, but so far obviously hasn't. But there's definitely a lot of play there, which obviously there's always is, but feels like more than normal. And then the last reason that I don't love this adjustable wrench is just the placement of the glass breaker on the end. So it really limits how you can use this. So you have to use it kind of in the standard formation and kind of sideways on the bolt. But if you wanted to do a horizontal twist, which sometimes you have to just because you're limited on space, that glass breaker is going to get in the way and block about, a 1/4 of an inch of you being able to access that last 1/4 of an inch. And so that's a little bit annoying and just kind of a weird placement choice. I definitely would have preferred that be somewhere else or not included at all, because one, I don't have a lot of uses for a glass breaker. In fact, I've never had to in an emergency break glass. So not something that I use a ton, but even if I did need it, you could probably just put that bit in there and use the end of the screwdriver to break the glass, and it's going to have kind of that same point at the end. So would have preferred to scrap it all together, or if they had to include it, put it somewhere else. And the other reason I don't love the placement of it is the pocket clip is right hand tip up only. So you have this pocket clip here, which leaves a decent amount sticking out of your pocket, a little bit of the handle, but mostly just that adjustable wrench head and the glass breaker. But that glass breaker, anytime you reach in your pocket, is poking at your hand, and so just kind of in an uncomfortable place where you just get randomly surprise poked. It's not going to injure you, obviously, but enough that it's surprising every time it happens, and so just a weird place for it. But overall, I mean, it's an okay tool, not something I would recommend to really anyone looking for a really usable, functional multi-tool. It's fine, it does the job, it's not great, but there's definitely better multi-tools out there. But it's cool if you want just something weird in your collection, and I hope more companies continue to do stuff like this, because it's good to have competition for the big multi-tool companies, and definitely interesting to see innovation, and maybe someone will do a really good version of something like this. This one definitely wasn't it for me. Maybe it's the perfect tool for you, but it's interesting enough. It's got a cool form factor. It works well in like a pouch, and again, it's just a little bit different than everything else I have, so was worth checking out either way. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And as always, I hope you have a great one. Take care.